So next match today will be Clem going up against. It's going to load up for me very, very shortly.
Looks like we've got Clem
Elazer.
Elazer. Yeah.
Spicy, spicy.
This is
I
our last
like it.
series for today, man. Our casting before we swap casting crews out. So a Vanguard versus Infernal, two Team Liquid teammates. It's two players who are doing very well in the group so far as well. This is actually a really exciting match.
This is very exciting, mainly because like they're both undefeated as well. They're both teammates. They spent some time playing Stormgate before Katowice as well. I know this at a boot camp, and so far, both of them looking good in very different ways. Like Elazer, very much about the aggression, very much carrying over his StarCraft-esque style of how to defeat people, like acute timings and what have you. And Clem, he's aggressive for sure and making lots of micro happen with very little. But it's not like the super tempo based stuff yet. Like it's a little bit off meta, especially with the hedgehogs and stuff. But yeah, I'm very curious how they're going to clash in this.
Can he bully Elazer like he's been bullying everyone else, right? That's the big question, man. It's like even when Clem's playing greedy, his first 3 units arrive, they kill 1 or 2 units, and it's like, and now he just micros his way to victory while macroing perfectly behind it. So we've been saying we want to see Clem get tested because he's looked unstoppable so far. When he's given an inch, he takes a mile with his mechanics, his ability to just do everything at once. I think Elazer is going to make that much harder for Clem. And I think Elazer is actually the favorite, even though we've seen more games of Clem dominating today.
No, absolutely. I mean, Elazer's play definitely looks scary. And even when I thought, oh, he's might be on the back foot a little bit, that gaunt drop is just freaking glorious. Like in my head, that goes against all sort of drop play I've ever seen, where you unload everything at once and boom, then it's regenerating its shield as well. Just absolutely brutal. And I dare say that's going to be one of the continuing themes throughout this tournament, just with how strong it is. And killing workers, getting those fiends out as well. My goodness, those are what nightmares are made of.
Indeed, dude. Indeed. Well, Broken Crown going to be starting things off here as expected. And of course, on the top right side, playing as the lovely demon boys, it is going to be Elazer.
And spawning over in the bottom left-hand side, representing France and Team Liquid, it is Clem.
Dog coming in for a look around the base as is standard, and it looks like Elazer is opting for the single conclave so far. We'll see if he tries to expand just off of that, or if he goes for the Iron Vault as well. That micro is hilarious. The way that this is Clem's favorite thing. Clem's Reaper is a thing of legends, by the way. I'll never forget the time when I watched Cyril stream, the greatest StarCraft player of all time, playing Clem on a really short rush distance map. And just watching him get visibly triggered by the Reaper micro at the start of the game was one of the funniest things I've ever seen. And he basically said you need to change your whole build order when you play against Clem in TVZ and StarCraft. I think if Clem gets those hedgehogs out again and starts kind of, ruining players with them, we might see players adjust their openings against that as well. Anything where he can micro really well, he's going to be much more annoying than anyone else.
Absolutely. I saw a little bit of the Bob movement. We talked about it earlier in the stream, or you talked about it rather. Bob's being the quote-unquote stupidest unit in the game right now. One of them was not helping with the building of that building, so slowing things down a little bit, but Clem very much about just making sure he knows what he's against, and Elazer going for that Elazer approach here by getting those nice early gaunts and having that nice wall off as well. And so far, we haven't seen it fully utilized just because players have not been going for these big old dog attacks, but yeah, definitely you can see that Vanguard get a little bit of an edge economically just by getting that expansion down much sooner. And it's about, like, I'm very curious how Elazer's going to go about this, because so far it doesn't look like he's panicking whatsoever.
Yeah, no, you can see this seems to be the standard defense. Get those gaunts in between the buildings so dogs can't surround them. Obviously, you don't have an early scouting unit, which creates a weird disparity in the openings where Vanguard gets to react and Infernal. You can see a lot of these top players kind of just picking this opening as a very standard way to start things off, and does allow the fast expand to get down. Those bobs, of course, mining nicely on both bases for Clem as he swaps into Therium and begins the next step. Imps now moving down to transition to that expansion. Of course, you want to have them getting up to the first 10 as efficiently as possible. Now, he attacked his own shrine, and you might think that was a misclick, but I think he was trying to get the bounce to bounce onto the dog to attack it from further away.
Alrighty. I'm glad you're here, Pig, because I was definitely looking at that. I was like, that was a misclick for sure, right? But yeah, brought down those gaunts with the workers just to make sure that if anything does go on, because remember, the Infernal for the time being is the far more blind player. They do not start with a scout. They do not get to see exactly what's going on. Are those guys stuck there? They're not, are they? I mean, we'll be able to chop him out. I don't know how they got there in the first place, is probably what Elazer's thinking, but we'll start a third base very quickly by the looks of it. And so far, this is not the Infernal play that I've been, you know, thinking I was going to come into this tournament watching. It's been very macro-esque.
Yeah, he's going to go to that speed cap down the bottom right as well. So I like this play from Elazer. I think it's a good way to get up to the mid-game. Hedgehog's going to creep the middle of the map for those resource caps. Not a bad move whatsoever. As the Fiends spawning out are going to blossom Elazer's army, allow him to take some more resource camps, maybe even go for the vision cap. You can see he's very passive and defensive for now, though. I think Elazer's very cautious of getting caught on the map, you know. Whether it be heavy dogs, bunch of hedgehogs, he must have been punished before. And he's basically just saying, let's just protect our economy. Let's be really careful.
Yeah, and I mean, these gaunts, what count is he at right now? It's a good, like, 7 or 8. I think he can fit about 8 in a drop. A Doombringer. These hedgehogs do pack a little bit of a punch, though. We'll get to cancel on this 4th base. But does Clem have any idea that that was indeed the 4th base attempt? Because so far, these guys have been taking their bases at very different timings. Yeah,
this is obviously you can speed build as Vanguard, so you kind of are okay to be a little bit behind on taking them. But if Elazer can get away with 4 shrines pumping out those imps, his economy's going to grow at a very rapid rate. Hedgehogs do take out 1 imp over there. Oh no, yes they do. They go in and manage to finish it off. Gaunt's coming over to try and deflect it. Base does take a fair bit of damage.
I mean, the one Lancer in the mix definitely adds quite a bit of meat to this army, and Elazer so far hasn't been able to be the aggressor, which, if the games today have been anything to go by, that's nice for Vanguard if they can stay alive and just get situated on the map, because we see that he is up to, in fact, they're both getting up to 4 bases right now, which is kind of crazy, honestly. Seem very, very different games today.
Funny, I keep seeing Clem siege his hedgehogs up, and I think it's just a misclick. I'm not sure. Or either that, or he's like, maybe I'll catch the drop randomly flying past this point. You'll see him occasionally siege the hedgehogs up and then unsiege them. So not sure if he's just pressing a button accidentally or what's going on there. The life camp, health camp on the left side starting to get creeped by those guys. Elazer on 4 bases, and so is Clem. An economic arms race. These guys are truly playing like this is European StarCraft 2, man. This is not what an American versus Korean game, I think, necessarily tends to look like.
No, not at all. And I mean, yeah, these hedgehogs will get a little bit of damage done for their troubles. And I mean, this is definitely a more exposed base. Lancers, Clem's starting to split up his army a little bit here. So Lancers over on the right, hedgehogs in the north. He's going to look to deal with that tower and maybe go for the workers instead. Elazer having to greet both armies at the same time.
Lancer's going to try and take down the Shroudstone. Imps do not do much to these guys. Remember, they've got that 3 armor reduction on any incoming damage. Lancer's tanky as all heck. Those Imps wisely going to pull away from there, as Elazer has to just kind of get his stuff together, protect his economy. But man, what an economic arms race. And like I said, very rare to see games like this. Oh god, the drop not being microed. Watch out for those hedgehogs. They have massive anti-air range. Sentry post only now being built. But with hedgehogs on all sides, Clem's trying to like surround it right now. Oh, you gotta watch out, man. You gotta watch out!
He certainly does. I mean, those hedgehogs, when they actually do shoot, when they really get stabilized, they deal a lot of damage. And I think a lot of the Doombringer's health is about that shield being online, right? And yeah, it's gonna get down here. And I mean, that Infest works wonders very quickly. But these hedgehogs, they are quick, man. Oh, has to be so
my
careful.
Gosh. Dropping there was so dangerous for Elazer. Clem's gonna punish it. He's trapped. He does use the recall ability there. I forgot what the actual name on it is. But he does manage to teleport home and save it. Good call for Elazer to get out. If he waited any longer, I think he was dead. So a good choice. Backs out. Here's a 5th base on the way. The greed knows no bounds. For those who don't know, European StarCraft players are known for being the most defensive, macro-oriented. Like, we want to take a giant economy and defend, and it's on you to gamble on attacking. You know, strength in defense. Basically, they're kind of like the the old believe in the Maginot line, sort of like, let's just dig trenches and defend it. And normally you'll see Korean players be a little bit more like the, you know, wild, aggressive, risk-taking players. And historically, overall, Korean style a bit more effective in StarCraft. Not sure what the meta has really been between different regions in other games.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, Koreans, the way their playstyle goes, it's no wonder you see so many of them at the casino, you know? Like, absolutely, absolutely flipping as much as they can quite often. And, you know, who's there to greet them every day? It's freaking Rotterdam, and he's also a gambler. But anyway, this game, they are absolutely macroing up. And these hedgehogs, Clem's one of the only players we've seen really utilize them so far. He does so very well. Like, he kind of hones in, keeps his opponent busy, keeps them locked down, still is able to use them back home as well to deflect the air, which a lot of players have had trouble with. They try and use the Exos or the Hornets to do so. But yeah, so far, we've got a very decent macro game on our hands.
Indeed, Magmadon's joining the fray now. Oh, trapping the hedgehogs. That's a slick move, that is. Taking out all but one of the hedgehogs. There goes Clem's map control. He's got his Exo Lance account starting to grow. No medtechs in the mix just yet. And this is going to be really interesting because we've seen players finally have a bit of success with the Magmadons in that last game, but it mostly came off the drops, catching Skillus off guard. The frontal fights, we keep just seeing guys like Clem just shoot, pull back, and it feels like the Magmadons never got on top. I've been asking a lot and kind of waiting for the moment where we see a sandwich happen. But because the Vanguard army is so mobile, it feels like the Infernal player never gets a chance to really have enough map vision to really set that sandwich up. We'll see if Elazer can find something, because I think right now Clem is locked down on the defense really nicely.
Yeah, and I mean, Elazer's definitely, from being one base down kind of thing, like taking his natural a bit slower, he's definitely on top of it now, where his economy is absolutely blooming. He's got that drop ready on the far left side. This army over here as well packs a massive punch, and having those Magmadons in the mix as well, they are a great front line. I mean, his army's scary to deal with, man. I don't even know what units you necessarily would love to have here. I mean, you've got to have some Lancers on the front, got to have some Exos on the back, maybe some Atlases already. But Lasers just, it feels he's very, very complete in his army composition.
It is a very high Gaunt count, so you do have to be worried. I mean, they do have like a stim type buff where they can obviously, you know, run around very quickly, but their damage not great against the Lancer frontline, and that's something that isn't just going to magically suddenly change. Good defense on this base. Looks like the Hedgehog getting repaired. It will go down though. One or two Gaunts fall as well. Oh, and he's actually going to dive past. That's a crazy move. Wow, Mad Dog.
And he gets up through actually fairly unscathed. I mean, once it lands and plonks down its ability, it can regenerate that Shroud, which will absolutely be nifty. But we'll see. I mean, that little trample boy in there in the mix dealing decent damage, and the drop in the main, the Gaunts are met by a lot of units from Clem. So Clem, definitely with his multitasking here, doing a decent job of keeping up with Elazer.
First Hellborn does arrive on the front. You gotta be careful. These Magmadons can bleed out one at a time, and then you're left with a very fragile army. Good slam there. Gets a few of those units down, but it's such a mass Gaunt army. There's only 2, 3 Okay, a few more Magmadons come in. Oh, he's got to be careful though. If Clem can pull back, evade those Magmadon stomps, wear them down, there will be a turning point where he can collapse on top of the Gaunts, and this army will fall apart potentially. But for now, that right side base gets eliminated. Elazer's all over it. Elazer's doing great.
He's doing great, man. He pushed that army back massively so, splintered off his army as well. And look, he's getting ready. He spread that Shroud everywhere with an ability as well. So his army constantly getting back its shields. That Magmadon, they are looking to pounce in the middle of things. And oh my goodness, you can see the damage being done. And those Gaunts in the back line can't do anything about it. I mean, these Atlas are trying to get the AoE damage done. They're getting it. That was a massive hit.
Oh, that Atlas shot just shredded those Gaunts. This is what I was talking about with your army when your front line's gone, how weak the Gaunts are. But I think he's done enough damage. Even if he loses this whole army, it feels like Elazer has done so much economic damage, and he's even clearing the army out. Wow, absolutely overwhelming play. And I think we needed more Lancers in the mix for Clem, honestly, and to maybe potentially flank in on that army a little bit. Because if you get Lancers on top of those Gaunts, ooh, it goes pretty well for you. But even building forward buildings all over the map. Oh my lord, Elazer. I don't know if that's legit strategy or disrespect, but he is walling off the map with turrets.
Absolutely, yes. I mean, these Hellborns, you can see why they are effective. They have to have that back or that front line in front of them, just taking out the shots, taking up the heat. And so far, the army composition of Elazer has been really good. You can see everything at the front line just being like, hey man, I'm going to take the damage and let that back line deal the damage. The gaunts have been solid from start to end. And look at that. It looks like ants on the minimap right now. So much red, absolutely everywhere. Big AoE. Clem trying to split out of it, but it does land on quite a few of these units. And the atlas count is getting higher. But I'm scared for Clem, man. The world is looking no scary place for the infringement.
Man is praying for the biggest Atlas shots of literally all time, my friend. Literally all time. He needs and he's getting the big ones in the top of our screen. Does need a few more like that. Doesn't have the burning upgrade to make them burn the ground. The Atlases get jumped on. They get a few good shots, but then they are taken out, removed from the game. Clem microing his heart out, but he's trapped in a corner, nowhere to run, nowhere to hide, and the demons, they're all over him, man. The human resistance done for him in game 1. He's getting stomped to death, and those Magmanons having an absolute party in his face.
Absolutely. That was really cool play. Like, that game, it really felt that Clem was doing a lot of stuff completely right early on. But then, all of a sudden, once Elazer was really allowed to blossom, got those Magmadons out with the gaunts, and it's like, okay, get some Hellborns out as well, just adding to the power. There was no air units at all, which maybe that makes Elazer's life a lot easier, being able to do the little magic of the Doombringers. But yeah, Elazer just very, very good about making a lot happen with very little.
And I do have a word. We are right now speaking through, after that demon success there, DeMu, we are basically speaking through the warp. The Chaos Gods have got angry, the demons are there, and there is some truly cursed audio on the stream. It is getting fixed. But when the demons have their way, they get out of control, and you start to hear all sorts of weird demon speak through the radio and that sort of thing. So hopefully that'll be fixed up in a second, and we will be getting into game 2 momentarily. It's kind of cool because so far we've seen Vanguard being overpowered today. But this is a tournament with very different results to our previous qualifier, and a very mix of player experience, since it's a reduced player pool of players who have a lot of esports talent and experience, but not necessarily as much experience in Stormgate. These two guys clearly have a bit more experience, with Elazer being the highest player on the ladder out of every player in this Katowice special qualifier. And he just made Clem, who looked untouchable in his earlier series, look like he was a little bit of a step below him in map 1. So that was really well done. And we're seeing that as much as people talk about balance this way, balance that way, at the end of the day, it is still very much a skillful RTS, where we are seeing the players who actually know how to play the game really well do tend to be winning.
Absolutely. And I mean, it's going to be a lot of figuring stuff out. And it's the kind of game as well where you can actually see like the evolution happen as games go on, like series go on. And just from game to game, different builds, same builds, different unit comps entirely. And the fact that Clem has been so, well, I want to use the word reluctant, but maybe he doesn't fully know about how good like Hornets are in general. Like, but just a very different approach. Like he's been very good with the Hedgehogs, don't get me wrong, but when it comes to these fightings in this engagement, so far, like what he was doing was working. So it's like, hey, why would I change? But now that it didn't work, and it's like, oh goodness, what do I do instead? It's going to be fun to see how he bounces back in this one.
Well, I think it's a good tactic from Elazer, right? He's like, oh, you like to micro, you have Hedgehogs, one of the best map control units in the game. You want to harass, be here, be there, be everywhere. How about I just take 4 bases and turtle? It's like, if the Hedgehogs can't really break into a position, they want to punish you for being on the map. They want to harass you, catch you out of position. Elazer just chilled straight to 4 bases, did some drop harass, but was very careful with it. Kind of recalled at home when was necessary and stuff. So he played really good. I think Elazer countered Clem's style. And if you let Clem just micro his units, pick off some of your stuff in the middle of the map, he's probably going to run away with it. But so far, so good for the Zerg. As we get into the next game, going on to game 2 now. And in the bottom left, we've got Elazer. In the top right, we've got Clem. Going to be fantastic to see how the players evolve match to match. What range does Clem have as a player here? No sign of like a dog opening or anything like that. He's still all on Luminite. Looks like the fast expand going to be the way for him to play.
Yeah, it was really pro showcasing a lot of the different stuff that Vanguard can do, whereas a lot of the other lads, they've been like, hey, I can boost up my expansion. I'm just going to do it. I'm going to do it. Like, of course I'm going to do it. So we do have the colors in the top. Wait, no. I was just mixing up which way they spawn. And my sucker brain's like, if they spawn on the right, I'll have it on the right. But either way, that was me messing up in my brain. The scout is going to do quite a bit over here, just slowing down his opponent. Now Elazer gets enough Therium to make sure that he can whip out quite a few special units and techs if he does so please, but then he's all about getting down to this low ground, making sure that he gets his expansion, accompanied by a Gaunt, and if he does everything correct, he's going to be fine.
Yeah, the dog just threatening the block with the Gaunt there. He's got to back away. The infest damage alone does knock a fair little bit off of you, and the imp does get the shrine down. Second imp does return home with that Gaunt, so Elazer able to expand. The expansion being up so fast, it looks good for Clem. It feels good, but we always see that just because you got that expansion up faster, I mean, you lose quite a bit of mining time to do that. You know, it's not free, and there is opportunity for that Infernal player to go for a quick third, start getting out there and creeping, getting some bonus resources, and starting to bring the game back. But I'm just thinking on a strategic level, if I'm Clem, like, yeah, do we play Hornets? I doubt he has experience with that. I would imagine maybe just look for a bit more of a sharp timing attack, because in that game where you both just freely macroed up, it felt like there was some point where suddenly Elazer just ran away with the game. So maybe keep it in like the early mid stage off like 2 to 3 bases, get aggressive.
Absolutely. I mean, we saw, even Skillus dabbled in the Hornets, right? And they were very cool and kind of tricky to deal with. Like, even that game on Jagged Moor where it was like he had one Hornet out, even the Gaunts didn't trade super effectively against them, especially with like bringing them back home and what have you. Elazer is going to be whipping out a lot of Gaunts by the look of it this game, and Natural is up fairly unopposed as well, and now we can start creeping, getting out the Fiend count a little bit higher as well, given that you can infest and what have you. And what is Clem going to do on this side of things? Lancers to start things off. We haven't seen too many of them from him so far. I mean, at least not very, very early on, I feel.
Yeah, no, we've definitely seen him not go too heavy on them, but I think seeing this Gaunts getting the upgrade will be great. Get a bunch of those Lancers, and I mean, it's funny because Elazer's so high level, but if you see like a player who's not as careful as Elazer, these Gaunts will just get caught by like 3 Lancers on the map, and they will rip them to shreds, and the, you know, Infernal players in the doo-doo at that point. But he's not given that opportunity. It is Hedgehogs again, catching the speed camp on the right side. Of course, Elazer is still just creeping, hasn't been caught by the Hedgehogs or anything. Clem's like, where's your base? When are you going to take that? I want to deny it. I really want to deny your expansion, man.
Yeah, it's quite a few battle units out on the map, and Elazer, he's about taking it safe and steady here. Does go for that Therium deposit here, opens it up, and the sooner you open it up, the more Therium there's going to be on the map. And Fiends out here do get a little bit of a scout, and Elazer's going to play it nice and careful here. He doesn't know what's lying in wait behind it, and what is that next production facility from Clem going to be behind all this? I'm curious, because I feel that Elazer doesn't need to change too much, right? Whereas Clem, whatever he did the previous game, didn't quite work out for him, but he's absolutely playing less macro-focused game and very much about being in the face of his opponent, which is really cool.
Hedgehogs being annoying there, getting themselves a Gaunt snipe. The macro shrine on the Therium, obviously it's not as super valuable. It's a lot of money just for doing that, but you got to realize the moment he does get an actual third Luminite base up, he'll instantly be able to fill it with imps. Like the production of imps you get off this shrine gives you a decent ability to just kind of build that economy, but using the Shroudstone as a fallback point, the Gaunt's trying to micro in and out, the Lancer Hedgehog being annoying, but of course Elazer wisely expands on the other side, and I just think he's doing a great job. Here is Elazer of withstanding the pressure, not letting Clem get any big openings. I said maybe Clem should lead into a faster timing attack, but he's gone for like the similar sort of like heavy harassment style, and Elazer's just not giving him any opportunities. He's not playing his game. He's like, I'm not going to go out and fight that. No way, man. I'm just going to be careful in camp.
No, absolutely. And I mean, these Hedgehogs, even though they look cool and they're getting a lot of shots off, they are brittle. They are absolutely brittle. And Elazer, he is spotted trying to take that cheeky third base over here, which is what Clem was looking for over there. And Clem going for this vision camp, but took it a little bit late here, so I think he missed that army moving out over there, but marches back into it. Elazer trying not to showcase everything that he's doing here, But that army from Clem, yeah, it has to be very careful.
This is where that third base is so dangerous to commit into, remember, because you can't get out until you break the trees down, which I think you might have a Bob breaking the trees down now, actually, Clem, because there's some red dot on the other side of that forest of the Elazer third base. And indeed, yeah, he's brought the Bob over. So remember I was saying you could also build sentry posts on the other side of this? Probe was telling me a lot of players have been doing that on the ladder. So then by the time the trees come down, you've got like 2 sentry posts with units in it, and it's just a very nasty surprise. But good catch once again, gets one of the hedgehogs. The other one barely gets away. And I do think Clem, with his own third base up, is planning some sort of assault or at least harassment on the third of Elazer. But Elazer has a plan, and he looked absolutely unstoppable once he got to late game in that last match. Let's see if Clem can do something about it in game 2.
Absolutely. It's going to be a lot of Exos joining the mix as well. And Clem here is trying to cut through these trees here using his worker. And I mean, that's going to be a little bit of a surprise here. Because Elazer, the whole time, he's like, yeah, you have to march around into here. But this also grants Clem a nice little escape path for his troubles as well. Ooh, what's that building over there? Is he going to get like a healing turret going on? That could be really groovy.
That would be awesome. There's a few kind of nice fallback points you can do there. And even just using it as like an annoying point so they can't push out and fully chase you away could be awesome. But we'll see exactly what he does put inside. It's going to get caught. Clem unable to pull off the sneaky one. Cancels it, loses the Bob, not the end of the world.
Poor Bob. Alright, Doombringer dropping into the natural here. Lots of gaunts in the mix, and overcharge is used by Clem, but he has to get on out of there. And I mean, getting an overcharge... Yeah, getting an overcharge out of your Vanguard opponent, that's definitely not nothing, you know? That can be used in far different ways. But look at that! Clem has so much!
Whoa! Clem jumping on top. His Bobs are kind of derping around here, though. I feel like those Bobs were a misclick into the fight because they weren't really doing much. The Magmadon massacred the Bobs, but a lot of the Gaunts getting taken out. More Gaunts coming from the right. A new Magmadon. If that Magmadon gets on top, it's going to be devastating. He's got to get out of here. The Infest does land on those units. Good pullback by Clem. And honestly, Elazer is all over him right now. Elazer's taking a fourth behind this. The Magmadon's causing a big fear for Clem. Doesn't really have the Exo count to shoot them down quickly. He's got to be careful with how he fights this. He wants his Exos to go after the Gaunts, the Magmadon, sorry, and his Lancers to go after the Gaunts. His third base Mineral Line has a Magmadon in it right now at the top of our screen, and that is very scary.
It really is. I mean, the Bobs are doing what they can, but that is not a fair fight. Trample used again, but does get picked off before it really gets all the damage done. So Clem probably feeling like, hey, I really got away fairly lucky there. And 14 works in that little Therium patch over there for Elazer. Definitely a more scary game for Elazer, where he hasn't been allowed to just run away with whatever he wanted.
Yeah, he hasn't. On the other hand, he does have a fourth up and a ton of Therium money. He's got the 5th shrine as well next to the Therium. So it's definitely a scary moment where like Clem got slowed down there and Elazer quickly built Shroud Stones because he was like, oh god, a counterattack could be scary. But he was expecting the attack on the top left, not on the right side. So Clem's going to catch him out of position. The first Hellborn's here. Not going to do that much attacking the Lancers. It'll be much better against the Exos. Clem would love to kill it, and he will take out that first Hellborn. But, ooh, the Gaunt attack's doing pretty well.
Gaunt attack's doing well, and that's a lot of Magmadons behind it all, isn't it? Like 3? I'm not sure. And even getting the Super Tower here to get damage done very quickly. And that health camp in a lovely spot for Clem to retreat to, all things said and done. Maybe he can't stick around here for too long, though, because remember, it's a lot closer to the Infernal's base, so he can pop out those units much quicker and reinforce them than Clem can.
Yeah, I believe in one of the patch notes, I think they said they were making the healing camps up to like 8 hit points a second or 10 or something, but it's actually much lower than that. It's very slow, those healing camps, so it's nice in a very passive position, but this has been a high-octane game. Clem is going to try to snatch the middle here, realizing I can't kill you, but maybe I can keep you on the back foot. Take this double base in the middle, and then go for it. Shroud Stone's not being able to finish. Nice attack timing here for Clem.
It's a really nice attack timing for him. Gets it all down before it's getting out of there. But I was just thinking he does not want to get trapped because this army from Elazer packs a massive punch. It's slow, not too mobile, but he makes up for it with this dropper over in the north, and that gets a lot of damage done. These fiends are a proper nuisance, man, and he can bounce from base to base. And Clem, oh, he's feeling the pain here, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, it's so funny because we saw like Hornets and Probe was always in control, always attacking, but we see everyone else hasn't built Hornets. And this drop has been such an integral part of the Infernal success. It's that drop keeping you on the back foot, finding you out of position, finding damage, and of course turning those workers into Infernal units. Oh, Hellborn push on the front. These Exos a little exposed. Having that vision camp on the front is massive. If Elazer realizes that there's a middle base, he can just go back and clear it. I don't think he realizes that's there.
No, me neither. I mean, did he unload there with a dropship, or did he cut through? Because seeing the cut through, that'll definitely open up the possibility. I mean, he sees that cut through with this vision tower, but whether you actually see it or not, that's a different story. But if he does, as soon as he sees it, in fact, is he going to trample through into the middle here? Well, that's one way to find out about the middle base here, Piggy. I think he's done it.
Yeah, nice move, man. Good awareness, realizing, hey, the middle base, you cannot let that go up. And he's trying to break through the trees as Clem to get out. He's like, quick, guys, tear the trees down. Get out, get out, get out.
Oh, my goodness. I mean, that army's getting bigger and scarier. So it's not so much about brutes. It's about the Magmadons on your front line being very, very good tanks. I mean, there are a few brutes mixed in, but lots of Gaunts and Hellborns, as well as the super range backup as well. Takes out another Therium here, so he can mine from that over on his left base. Clem, very quickly to getting those workers back to getting a base on the far right side, and this is a very barracks-heavy army. And yeah, that's a lot of workers over there. Quickly getting that base up will help him out a lot, but who wants to take this fight, really? I mean, Clem is a lot of units, but geez Louise, that's a lot of Infernals.
Yeah, he has to stay away from the Magmadons and avoid the big Hellborn splashies. But if the Magmadons get too far from the army, this happens, where they do get focused down very quickly. But then if you chase into the Hellborn shots, that happens as well. You can see it so back and forth.
Yeah, I mean, if Clem is against just pure Magmadons and Hellborns as their back line, and you know, a few Gaunts making the infest happen, he's going to be in trouble. Like, there's so much Infernal capability now on the map that can deal so much AoE damage, and Elazer, he's moving that shroud forward. He really wants his units to be able to re-establish themselves with that shield on the map. Might be able to get a Hellborn for his troubles, and I mean, those are pricey units, so nice work there. That big AoE at the back there does land on the back on the meds, but I feel like Elazer's doing everything he can. But look at that trample right in the middle of that army.
Oh, nice Fiend run by on the third as well, right when Clem needs to be started stepping away from those Magmadons, and he gets hit. The distraction paying huge dividends. Way too many Exos have died. Clem's lost his critical mass of firepower, and that means his army is hugely diminished. His third base has lost most of the bobs on it. The Fiends are running rampant over there. That is a disaster for Clem. Elazer has got out of control. He's got 5 bases, one of which is the center base. Clem barely hanging on to 4 bases, but he doesn't even have the workers to fill them up. And this is looking like Elazer coming in as the highest ranked player on the ladder out of this particular 6-man group today. I think we can see exactly why that is the case. The man knows his business. He seems surprisingly patient, and you're kind of watching going, oh, he's not really doing that much, is he? To kill his opponent for the first 5-10 minutes, and then it's just like an avalanche just comes falling down on your head, and what can you do to stop it?
Absolutely. I mean, utilizing the speedy units to just get around the map, dealing damage here, there, and everywhere. These Shroud Stoners as well, just popping up, and you see, just always getting attacked there. Pops up a super one as well, firing shots like crazy. But his army, like these Magmadons that just run into the middle of things, like in true Ultralisk-esque style. Lots of damage, and can't forget about these drops, Pig. These drops, these are monstrous drops. I mean, you have to react so fast or have so much static D to defend them.
So powerful. It's, you know, it's one of those things. You're like, oh, I don't want to go Hornets, but kind of feels like watching a Zerg player trying to defend with just queens against like 5 multi-drops and refusing to build anything else that shoots up. You know, you're like maybe we should get some flying units to shut this down. This thing's really getting out of control right now. It's very frustrating to deal with. And, all it takes is just a few kills for it to spiral.
Absolutely. I mean, I really feel that Elazer's taken this game by the horns, isn't he? And he realizes he doesn't truly have to make the moves right now. I mean, this middle base is so damn valuable. And the fact that he is dealing so much economic damage as well, and he's got static defense to do things with as well, it's just phenomenal. We haven't seen a dragon out of him yet, but it feels like he's been using a lot of his energy on other things, like the shroud spreading, also the big blob that he's trying to infest the whole army with, things like that.
Yeah, I like how Clem pushes in the middle, and Elazer answers by just moving his army to the right, smashing through the trees and saying, yeah, push in, man. You know I'll trap you if you do. I'm going to just kill your base at the same time. There's Hellborn crushing the left flank of Clem's army as the rest of his army pulls back. This is the thing Elazer's been much better at than a lot of other players we've seen today. Pulling back the front of his units, letting the Hellborn do the work, and then when the enemy army presents itself, crushes it. Nice GG coming out there from Clem, and Elazer establishes himself as the big daddy in this group alongside Probe.
Absolutely. I mean, very nicely handled by Elazer this game, right? Like, he was just all about setting things up. The drop was really damn solid. I mean, the late game play as well, you said it. He was good about pulling units back. Like, maybe a few of these Magmadons did run a bit forward, but they always traded nicely. And he made it so difficult for the Vanguard to really get done what they wanted.